Welcome to BizNation Radio. I am your host, Michelda Johnson. Are you ready to obtain the tools you need to start and grow your small business enterprise? Do you realize that you were made to overcome, you were made to conquer, and you were made to win? God has a plan, and it includes you. Your best is going to happen as you obey His command to come and walk, focused on purpose toward your destiny and your future. Grab paper and pencil and join us right back after this brief message from our sponsors. Keep in mind, BizNation is dedicated to providing practical advice on small business ownership. Our goal is that you will succeed. We'll be right back. Looking for your Water Walker Entrepreneurial Weekly Tips? Water Walker Development is so excited about partnering with Speaking Out Weekly News. Every Wednesday in the paper, you'll have an awesome tip, a business-related tip, a moving forward tip that will help you get started and continue moving forward in your entrepreneurial pursuits. Look for us in Speaking Out Weekly News.
Do you have IRS problems? I'm Vern with TaxCore, and I'm a former IRS revenue officer right here in Huntsville. I know all of the IRS techniques and procedures, where they will search for your money, and exactly how to protect you from them. Our number is 256-489-5596. The IRS has over 4,000 collection officers. They issue over 600,000 tax liens. The IRS will come after you aggressively if you owe them. You want me to fight for you. Don't face them alone. Call me today at TaxCore, 256-489-5596.
Thank you for tuning in to BizNation. My name is Michelda Johnson. Before we get started, I want to invite you to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Water Walker and like my page on Facebook at Water Walker Ministries. Throughout the week, we share tips and tools of motivation, inspiration relative to your personal growth and development, as well as for our small business enterprise. Again, we want to help you succeed. Today's show will focus on taking stock of your financial picture. In a prior show, we have discussed bootstrapping, but as I've mentioned as well, it is not for the faint at heart. It is a difficult walk sometimes and requires a mental and emotional stamina to withstand the heat and still be able to grow your business. I can't just leave you with bootstrapping because many people try that method and are not successful. So I do want to make sure that we are setting practical guidelines and advice on how to grow your small business enterprise. So let's spend today discussing our financial picture and things that we can do to prepare for entrepreneurship. The first priority then is for you to have an understanding of who you are in relation to money. Are you capable of making a short-term sacrifice in order to experience the financial gains that you desire to have in the future? Are you familiar and comfortable in talking in terms of cash flow, profit and loss, profit margins, and even discussing debt? Are you aware of the financial terminology that it takes to understand if your business is truly growing at a rate that is sustainable for you, your employees, your family for the future? Again, for most of us, the ultimate goal and purpose in entrepreneurship is to be sure that we are leaving a legacy for our children, that we are leaving a legacy, that we are, of course, being able to support our own financial needs. So one of the questions is, do you have a personal budget? Do you know where you are personally? Do you know what you're spending your money on? Have you taken the time to discover, are you eating out too much, or should you use a method of couponing? You have to understand where you are from a personal standpoint first. Your small business enterprise relies on your ability to look at the numbers in a business-like fashion and not as if they are a report on your personal character. Sometimes we feel really bad if things just don't look well on paper. But you have to know and understand why those numbers exist the way they are, and then how to make positive changes so that you are growing your small business enterprise. Your comfort level with money, especially as it relates to your product and or service, is imperative for growth. You have to be able to tell a client the price of your services without flinching. As the owner of Edible Arrangements, when training my customer service representatives, I realized that they had a challenge selling a customer a $70 or $150 or even a $200 fruit basket. Their issue was because they were viewing that cost from the aspect of their own personal perspective of what they had in their wallet. In other words, if I couldn't see myself purchasing this item, they couldn't imagine that anyone else would. And so many of us are stuck in our own comfort level of how we view money, and that challenges us in how we are selling to our client. You cannot bring this personal perspective into how you price and sell your services and your product. If you do, you will find that your ability to flourish and grow is limited. Obviously, it's necessary to price your product and service according to the market. And then after that, you need to remain confident enough to stand by what that market says. So one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is, as you are thinking about your small business enterprise, is to start the process of meeting with an accountant. Now, I will tell you, there are certain things I will never sacrifice on. That is the cost of my attorney, the cost of my accountant. Those two people are critical to the success of your business. You need sound legal advice and you need sound financial advice. I have always said in all of my business enterprises that I am IRS friendly. And so I am always wanting to make sure that we are doing things that are according to the regulations of the law and in conjunction with what the IRS requires. So you want to make sure that you are meeting with an accountant. Now, with that meeting with the accountant, you want to be clear about your expectations of communication, how often you expect that accountant to meet with you, what services you are expecting them to provide. For example, my accountant initially started off preparing my sales taxes. Now, there was a fee associated with that. I was charged $350 a month for this particular accountant to prepare my sales taxes. Now, what I did was I provided them with a spreadsheet of all of the sales that had come into the business in a particular month, and then they would take that and do the formulas related to it and send those monies off to the appropriate agencies. So for the first couple of years, at $350 a month, I'm paying an accountant. I didn't fire my accountant completely, but I did terminate their services in doing sales taxes. So many times we also have to be very familiar in what our business does and understand that process. Some people say, yes, you are a jack of all trades and master of none, and that's a good thing in some cases because you have to know how to manage your dollars. Once I figured out my sales tax account numbers, the reporting agencies, the online features in reporting my sales tax. Now, it took me a few hours to work through that process and understand who I needed to report sales taxes to, what kind of format they were looking for, what was available to me. But once I figured that out and took 2 to 3 hours to work through that, what I discovered was I could do my sales taxes myself, and it took me about 30 minutes per month to complete the process from beginning to end of doing my sales taxes. I want you to think about that for a minute. These are the little things as we're talking about financing your business. We also want to talk about making sure that we have a business that is relevant, that we have a business that we are faithful stewards over. And so as I went through that process, I realized that I was wasting money. And I didn't have money to waste in the beginning of my business. We never have money to waste. We are to be faithful stewards over what we have. And so I'm paying $350 a month for an accountant to do what it simply takes me 30 minutes to do. And so you want to be very well aware of what you need that accountant to do and the services that you want them to provide so that you understand in that open relationship what they need to do. I am not a proponent as a business owner of you preparing your own tax returns. I think there's so much associated with tax law and the regs associated with tax law that you need to understand what that means for you. You need to have a professional that understands the level of your business, what you do, how you do it, so that they can make sure that you are getting the best tax benefits that are available for you and your organization. But now let me caution you, and that's why we're talking a little bit, and I'm spending a little bit more time than I intended to on investigating and interviewing your accountant. In Atlanta, I had an accountant who was my accountant for my consulting business. My organization and entity was set up as an LLC. I knew nothing. I just knew I was an LLC. And this is why I took the time and the effort to educate myself on this so that these things won't happen to me again. And so as an LLC, you file your Schedule A along with your regular tax return. What this gentleman did, who was my accountant, who was my office of record for me and my accounting books, he filed a corporate return for my LLC. Now, that may seem foreign to you, but let me just say this. If you file a corporate return for an LLC, the result will be red flags like you cannot imagine, and the IRS contacting you to ask, when did you convert your business over to an S Corp or C Corp? And because I had never done that, they were challenged. Water Walker is committed to making sure that you know exactly what you need to do to remain a viable business. My name is Michelda, and we'll be right back after this message. Having questions about your next? Looking for a faith booster to get you to your next level of living? Water Walker 101, Moving Forward with Purpose, is the answer to what you need. This book is designed to help you move out of your boat of comfort and conformity and place you on a path of purpose and destiny. The journey is not always easy, but the insider knowledge is not in the boat, he's on the water. Order your copy today by calling our office at 256-325-0703. Again, order your copy of Water Walker 101, Moving Forward with Purpose, by calling our office at 256-325-0703. You can also order by visiting the website at waterwalkerministries.com. That's waterwalkerministries.com, or you can order at amazon.com. I can't wait to get your feedback. See you on the water. Looking for your Water Walker Entrepreneurial Weekly Tips? Water Walker Development is so excited about partnering with Speaking Out Weekly News. Every Wednesday in the paper, you'll have an awesome tip, a business-related tip, a moving forward tip that will help you get started and continue moving forward in your entrepreneurial pursuits. Look for us in Speaking Out Weekly News. Hello, my name is Michelda Johnson, and welcome back to BizNation. As a reminder, BizNation is a production of Water Walker Development, and we are committed to helping you not only step out of the boat, but to provide you with the tools necessary to successfully grow and develop your small business enterprise. Our mission is simple. We want to help you bridge the gap between knowing and doing. We've been talking about the financial side of the business, and although we've spent some time in prior shows talking about bootstrapping, I really wanted to deal with money matters in this show and really talk about how to prepare yourself to finance your business. And I think because of the level of information that this will be a part one of not sure how many. we are now focusing on the accountant and finding the right accountant for you. And as I've said earlier, there are two positions in your organization that you do not want to compromise. That is the position of your attorney or your legal advisor and that of your accountant. We want to make sure that we are building businesses that are IRS friendly, that understand the limitations of the law, what we can do, but also how to take advantage of the tax breaks that are out there for small and disadvantaged business owners. So I want to make sure that we are understanding that. Also, keep in mind that as you are working with an accountant, that accountant needs to be a match for who you are and your personality. You want someone that understands and takes the time to understand your business and what you do. You want someone who will be able to report honestly on the numbers. You want someone that will be able to help you understand what your profit margins are. Profit margins meaning how much money beyond expenses am I making on this project? I've worked on several projects, and sometimes after I've calculated everything up, I've realized that I didn't make a dime on the project, and in fact, I went in the hole. I've been working with another small business owner in a consulting arena in that consulting with her and helping her figure out how can she make sure that in all of her bids and proposals that she's calculating the correct profit margin and is walking away with a profit and making money actually from the business. I worked on an assignment once, and it took me a while to work through this assignment. And once I calculated all of the hours that I spent on the assignment, the expenses that I had in relation to this assignment, flight, travel, all this other stuff, I realized that I made a negative. That's not necessarily made then, but there was a negative amount in the area of gross margin and profit margin. So you want to make sure that you are carefully understanding what it takes to price that assignment, and to price that, and your accountant can certainly help you with that. You also want to make sure you are clear on the services that your accounting firm or your accounting office can provide. I just detailed to you my example of paying sales taxes. I also did my own payroll. A lot of people don't like and are not comfortable with doing their own payroll, and certainly you can find a bookkeeping service and or an accounting firm to do those types of things for you. I use QuickBooks, and we'll talk about QuickBooks in a future show. I use QuickBooks. I was able to put in the numbers, print my own checks, pay my own bills, those type of things. But there was also some other things that I had to teach myself. And that is why I started this segment off and this show off talking about understanding your own personal level of commitment to what you do. For example, if you are not reconciling your own personal bank statements, it becomes a headache and a challenge then to come in and try and reconcile your corporate bank statements. I know that personally. I've never been really super good with personal budgeting. When I started the business and then the subsequent franchise, I was required to have a budget, to know what I was spending, to have some expectation of what resources I would have available, financial resources, that is, at the end of the month. And then now I've got to reconcile all of these bank statements, and my bank statements are 15 to 20 pages long. It became an overwhelming task. And what I found out is that in some cases, the bookkeeper and the accountant, they could do a reconciliation project on a bank statement in 30 minutes to an hour, and it was taking me 3 to 6 hours to get it done. So you've got to be able to calculate all of that in your time as well in doing it versus their time, in making sure you're understanding what that accountant will do for you and the service that they will provide. In all of this, make sure, though, you are well versed enough to know what makes sense for your business. I cannot say that enough. I would encourage you, and I encourage every small business owner to look at the offerings of their local community college and find a course for you. Find an accountant's class for you so that you understand the basic terminology, the basic lingo of what is going on. What does it mean to say what your bottom line is, or your overhead or fixed expenses? What are those fixed expenses? Do you understand what they are? Do you understand how they change? Do you also know what your variable expenses are? What about your burn rate? Do you know what the burn rate? This is how much money you go through each and every month. And so you need to understand the percentage of your income that goes into that burn rate. Do you know what the cost of goods sold is? And are you familiar with how to set up that chart of accounts, or understanding what falls into your cost of goods sold? Just as a quick definition, cost of goods sold actually refers to what it costs you to purchase inventory, to sell to others, or to purchase materials to manufacture your product. So I can use, for example, edible arrangements again. My cost of goods sold obviously included fruit and the baskets and all of that great stuff. But what you may not realize was that my cost of goods sold also included the knives that we use to cut the fruit. It included the balloons and the helium that we use to blow up the balloons. Do you understand where I'm going with this? So my cost of goods sold was so much deeper than what you see on the surface. So you've got to understand, what does it take and what does it mean to make that product, to produce that service? What are all of those things that go into it? You also need to understand the difference between net profit and gross profit. What is your profit? Do you have a profit? And so I want to make sure that you understand all of these terms and that you are familiar with that as it relates to you. I want to share a story with you, and I'm running out of time, and this topic is so important to what we do. But I want to share a story with you. The first accountant that I met with as I was starting the process of opening up edible arrangements, I met with an accountant and I explained to them my vision, my plan. I had developed, as we all know, we should develop a business plan. And I had an executive summary. Now, the challenge that I had with my executive summary and my business plan was that the edible arrangements franchise was not in my market. There was nothing to compare it to. There was nothing out there. I mean, we could say that we were kind of in the florist category, but in essence, it was a new product in a new market. And not only was it a new product in the new market, but the other cities around us didn't have this product. So, for example, I'm in Huntsville. North of me, Nashville did not have an edible arrangement store. Can't use that for comparison. South of me, Birmingham did not have an edible arrangement store. The closest was in Atlanta, which is a much bigger market. We were the first store in the state of Alabama. And so I had nothing to compare the branding with, nothing to compare how that would work. And so I walk in with estimates that I've taken from a cross section of other stores across the United States. Yes, I did my due diligence, and I will encourage you to do that as well. And as I'm taking this cross section, I'm asking very key questions on what is your gross profit margin? What is your net profit? I need to know this information to be able to set an expectation of what I will do in this business in the first year, the second year, etc. We know the statistics say that every small business, that more than half of the small businesses fail in the first year, and definitely they don't make it to year 5. So I feel grateful that I made it to year 7 and we made it profitably to year 7. But all that aside, I'm meeting with this accountant. I'm explaining to him everything I have in place. I'm presenting to him my executive summary, and he tells me you will be out of business in 6 months. You will not make it. You will not survive. You will not stand. This is not the market for your business. There's another business that has this market. When you interview those accountants, if you know that you are supposed to be doing what you are doing, now don't come with frivolous business ideas that you haven't done your research on. I'm talking about solid, broad-based ideas. Then I want you to present those, and I want you to present those well. And if that accountant doesn't agree with you, walk away pray and let that no propel you to keep moving forward. Find you another accountant that will share your ideas and your values. My name is Michelda. I am so excited about what God is going to do in your small business enterprise. Join me on the water as we continue to move forward. We'll be right back.
Radar Production Company is an audio-video company providing our clients with professional quality recordings. Every project is important and every client is special to us. Radar Production Company offers the following services: recording studio, commercials, voiceover and jingles, music videos, mixing and mastering, music production, press kits, artist development.
For more information, visit radarproduction.com or call us at 309-750-4801.
Hello and welcome back to BizNation. My name is Michelda and I'm a water walker. We truly believe that reading is fundamental, and as you know, in every show we have the BizNation required reading list, simply because serious business owners should spend time connecting, reading, learning, and growing. And so we have this required reading list to provide you with resources to grow your own personal knowledge, to help you become more aware, to realize, as my grandmother would say, that there's more than one way to skin a cat. We want to expand upon who you are and help you grow and develop into this thing called entrepreneurship. I know you can do it and be successful, and it is my passion and my purpose to help you. Our required reading list today is a little bit unconventional. We've been talking about financing your business and making sure that you are prepared, that you are willing to take a sacrifice, and that you understand what it takes to finance your small business enterprise. We have talked about bootstrapping, but one of the things that I want to hit on in your required reading list, and listen, I want you to tweet about this. I want to see it on Instagram. I want you to connect with me on Facebook at Water Walker Ministries and tell me that you have done this. This is critical, not only to you as a business owner, but this is critical to you as an individual. I want you to spend this week reading your credit score, reading your credit report, reading the things that are online about you as it relates to your credit abilities and capabilities. And so we understand that it's important, whether we like it or not. The system and the world in which we live has a FICO reporting system and a credit reporting system, and that impacts your ability to receive loans, to receive money, to receive help and assistance to move forward in your business. And I don't want you to get to a point where you need that access and you can't get it. Now, listen, I know God can make a way out of no way. I'd be the first to tell you that, because that is my story. But listen, it's a whole lot easier when you can just go in the bank and sign the loan and the money is made available. So I want you to take a moment to understand your credit report, to read through your credit report, and to realize that, number one, there are 3 reporting agencies: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. You need to know that by law, according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that you are entitled to at least one free credit report a year from each of those. So that means then that you get 3 free credit reports. If you have not requested your free credit report for 2015, I encourage you to request that today. Call whichever one. Don't call them all unless you are about to make a major purchase within the next 60 to 90 days, but at least call one and request your credit report. And if you've got things on there that need to be taken care of, old stuff, call those creditors. Ask if you can settle with them. Ask if they will take lower or less than the amount that's due. Do the necessary to make sure that you are cleaning up your report. Learn what your credit score is. Make sure everything on there is accurate. And those things that are not accurate, dispute them. Make sure that you are moving forward and that you are getting those things off of your credit report that will not lead you, that are stopping you from getting the funding that you need for your business. And then as you move forward from this point, pay your bills on time. Don't increase your debt. Listen, I say this often. You have to understand how to make a short-term sacrifice for long-term gain in order to be able to grow your business. Increase your credit limits if you can. Make a list of your credit cards, reduce your interest rates, but more importantly, understand what you have, what's outstanding, and what needs to be corrected. I know it's not the traditional thing on the required reading list, but this, my friends, is what you need to do in order to prepare yourself. We've got so much more to talk about as it relates to financing. I'm just simply out of time, but I'm convinced that you can be successful and that you can move forward with purpose. BizNation wants to help you bridge that gap, and I can't wait, my friends, to see you on the water. My name is Michelda, and I'm a water walker.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to BizNation Radio with your host, Michelda Johnson. BizNation Radio is a production of Water Walker Development. The executive producer is Michelda Johnson. BizNation Radio is produced and directed by Radar Production Company. Comments and views heard on BizNation Radio is for the sole purpose of information. Thank you for listening to BizNation Radio.